From stunning temples to bamboo forests, from incredible views to streets frequented by geishas, there's a lot to love in Kyoto, one of Japan's gems when it comes to cities. Come walk the streets of this beautiful ancient city with me as we explore some of its wonderful sights and attractions. Located in the Kansai region of Japan, in the central island of Honshu, is the cultural capital of the entire country, a city called Kyoto. Now, Kyoto is extremely special, boasting a population of about 1.5 million people and having a slew of shrines and temples dotting all over the city, many of them protected by UNESCO as World Heritage Sites. This is probably one of the most unique cities on the planet. Let's go take a look around. Being in this town is truly like stepping back in time. It's easy to imagine the peoples of ancient times living here. When you're on the streets, cars almost seem out of place. Shops sell items you'd think have been on sale for hundreds of years. It's a great place to talk about the modern state of Kyoto. But before we go and visit some of the great sites in Kyoto, let's talk a little bit about the background, the history of the city. The city itself is over 1,200 years old, having been established by Emperor Kanmu back in the year 794. Excuse me, stairs got me out of breath. Now, Emperor Kanmu established this city, and it had a different name. It was the Haishin capital. However, now we refer to it as Kyoto. Kyoto in Japanese literally means capital city, and that is a fitting term because this city was literally the capital of Japan for over 1,000 years. It was actually only relatively recently, back in the 1850s, that the capital city of Japan was moved from Kyoto over to Tokyo, where it now lies, as a result of the Meiji dynasty, which opened up Japan to the Western world and Western influences. The city has tons of history, dating all the way back to its founding. Back when it was originally founded, the city was laid out in accordance with those principles of Feng Shui. Now, Feng Shui is this Chinese tradition. It literally translates to the words wind water. And it comes from this idea that all of us have energy within us, and we call that energy ki.
Okay, so you know how you've got this hidden reserve of power deep inside you?
What? Earth to Gohan! What you're saying doesn't make any sense. It's this stuff, look! Okay.
And that energy flows within us, and we should allow it to flow freely within us and around us and out into the universe. And so this city was planned in order to harmonize individuals with their surrounding environment. As peaceful as that all sounds, if you know anything about Japanese history, you know that there's a long storied past of violence between the factions of Imperial Japan and the shogunate, which included the samurai. Now, right here in these streets, there were a bunch of wars, battles, and even assassinations fought over here. So it wasn't always pretty. This city was actually burned to the ground quite a few times throughout its history. Events and conflicts like the Onin War, where the Imperials took up arms up against the shogunates, destroyed Kyoto completely. That was actually the last time it was destroyed. And other incidents like the assassination, it's called the Honnoji incident, where they assassinated a feudal Japanese leader who was about to unite the country. And that assassination, according to a lot of historians, drew back the unification of Japan by centuries. This place is the seat of a lot of history over here in Japan. This street is incredible, by the way. Like, just millions of people walking down.
1 million people indeed. The streets here feel more packed than the ones in Tokyo, and that's saying something. That's probably because this district here is filled with fun shops to peek into, and sells lots of goodies at stands just like this one, where I got my first taste of real Japanese mochi.
That's really good. Really different.
The streets here are indeed very busy, but it's also quite unlike any other busy street I've ever been to because of sights like these. Women in beautiful kimonos adorn the streets due to shops like this one that will rent you out an outfit to wear for a full day. As a result, lots of people from all backgrounds walk around out here in very traditional attire, adding to that historical feel that I keep referencing.
But that history and the building of all of these major religious sites around here are the reasons why Kyoto is considered to be such a cultural capital for the Japanese people. Now, we're gonna hit up 3 major historical and cultural sites here in Kyoto, and we're gonna start off with the one that's closest to where we are now. We're in the district of Gion, and we're headed to the Kiyomizu Dera temple. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. The name of the temple itself literally translates to Pure Water Monastery. And it is a beautiful temple that was established all the way back in the year 778. So it's pretty old. In keeping with that theme of being a pure water monastery and having everything flow, not a single nail was used in the construction of this entire structure back here. And in addition to all that, there's a mountain behind there. I don't know if you guys can see it. And somewhere on that mountain, there's a waterfall, which is thought to have contributed to the name of the place. So yesterday we visited another city called Nara, where we visited a temple called the Kofukuji Temple. And what's important about that is that that was actually the main competitor that spurred the creation of this temple over here. You see, back in the day, back in feudal Japan, the people who controlled the temples controlled the region. So people were dissatisfied with the way the Nara temple was being run. So they started this one back here.
One thing that I love about this temple and Kyoto more broadly is the sense of wonder you get from being here. Something about how everything is framed so meticulously is unlike anywhere else. So much care has gone into merging the man-made and the natural here, and there's a charm in the preservation of that.
So in English we have this phrase, it's to take the plunge. In Japanese they have a similar phrase. It's to jump off stage at Kiyomizu. I'm pretty sure that's the stage up there. It's about 43 feet high. And back in the day, people used to think that if you jumped off that stage, fell the 43 feet and survived, your wishes would come true. So a lot of people did it. There's actually 234 recorded instances of it and only an 85% survival rate. So it's been banned as of like the early 1900s. But people used to do that, and it's still a phrase today that's heavily used in Japan. Anyways, it's time to hit up the second site of the journey, which is going to be Fushimi Inari Shrine. Let's go.
The shrine we're headed to is about a half-hour away, so we hopped onto a train and started trekking over there. On the way, you'll notice that Kyoto has a whole lot of street food. Here we found a great vendor who just sold straight-up crab meat, and it was delicious. There's a whole lot of options for good eats all the way up to the entrance of the shrine.
Fushimi Inari Taisha is one of the most popular spots in the entire country. You'll always see a bunch of tourists crowded up behind there because they're trying to get that iconic photo of the gates. Now there are about 800 gates back there. And when you walk in, it gives you the impression like you're walking through a tunnel. There are right around 10,000 gates in this region here, each of them with an inscription, as you guys can see.
That inscription is actually going to be the name of a business or the date. Each one has the name of the business and the date on each side. And what that is the date that it was donated and the business that donated the Torii Gate. Now, if you owned a business way back in the 1600s in feudal Japan, you wanted to donate a gate to this place because it was said that if you donated a gate, it would make your wishes come true.
Walking through this entire area is spectacular. The architecture is unique and eclectic, and the artwork around here is different. A whole lot of fox statues live around here, but we'll talk about why that is in a second. For now, let's talk about how trippy and cool it is to walk through all these gates. You can't help but marvel as you go through them.
Now, the star of the show might be the gates, but the gates are always leading somewhere. In this case, the gates are leading to a shrine. And there's a multitude of shrines in the area that all of these gates are leading up to on different parts of the mountain. These particular shrines are dedicated to Kami Inari. Kami standing for deity or god. Inari is the god who is overseeing fertility industry and agriculture and is heavily associated with things like foxes, rice, and sake.
By the way, that's why there are all these fox statues. This shrine is dedicated to Inari, who's very closely associated with foxes.
So according to legend, Inari came during a famine in Japan thousands of years ago when Japan was first founded, and Inari rode upon a white fox and delivered grains in the form of rice and cereal to the Japanese people. She's got about 30,000 shrines dedicated to her all across the country.
The rest of the shrine contains multiple paths that extend for kilometers. It's worth the hike to make it to the less crowded areas around here.
And now we're leaving Fushimi to head to the final spot on our little Kyoto culture tour.
Day began to turn into night as we made it to our last stop of the day.
The last place on our little trip to Kyoto is the Arashiyama bamboo grove, otherwise known as the bamboo forest. It's a beautiful natural place where a bunch of the Moso bamboo species of bamboo grows. And much like the Torii Gates, it's extremely popular with tourists, so you're gonna expect to see quite a few crowds around here.
The tranquility of this place is wonderful. And as with everything in Japan, there's always something interesting to visit just around the bend. In the case of the bamboo grove, there's this temple close by, which we visited because autumn was just rolling in the region. And in this place, you could really see the beautiful changing of the leaves in all of its splendor.
Close by to the bamboo forest is the Tenryuji Shrine, or the Tenryuji Temple actually. This temple here is actually the head temple for the Rinzai, which is kind of like a denomination of Zen Buddhism.
Fittingly, the Rinzai are all about learning more about yourself and your truest nature after rounds of deep introspection. In this place, I found myself often steeped in thoughts about purpose, my future, and who I am. I guess it's easier to connect with that part of yourself when your surrounding is so gorgeous. And that's really been the story of all of Kyoto. This city is absolutely gorgeous, and I love it so much.
So that is Kyoto, at least from my lens. If you guys like the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. It would help me out a lot. Comment down below if there's anything that I missed to do in Kyoto. I know there's a ton more shrines and temples around here. I know a lot of them are impressive, but I chose my 3 favorite ones. And I will catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.